You know that feeling when you're good at your job, you show up every day, you do the work, but somewhere in the back of your mind, you're wondering, is this it? Like, is this the ceiling? Because if it is, you've got another 30 years of this, or 20, or 15, or 40, and that thought alone makes you tired. A lot of people hit that point in their careers and then they start looking around. And if you've been watching this channel or talking to people who've made a career change, you've probably heard the same job come up occasionally, right? Insurance adjusting, specifically property claims, specifically working catastrophe claims. And maybe you're here because someone told you about it, or maybe you stumbled across it on your own. Either way, I want to talk through why this career keeps showing up in people's lives right when they're ready for something different. So here's what I've noticed after running this channel for almost 8 years and talking to thousands of people in the comments, in emails, in my courses. People usually don't start searching for a new career because everything's fine. They start searching because something is broken. Maybe it's burnout, maybe it's realizing you're replaceable and the company you've been loyal to doesn't actually care. Maybe it's looking at your calendar and realizing that you don't control a single hour of your own time, or maybe it's just this creeping feeling that the work you're doing doesn't really matter to anybody, including yourself. And when people hit that point, they start asking a different question. Not how do I get promoted, but what else is out there that actually gives me a life? And that's when this industry starts coming up. Here's the thing. Almost nobody finds this career by Googling good jobs with flexibility. They hear about it from somebody that they know. Friend, family member, maybe an adjuster came to their house. That's how this spreads. And I want to tell you how I found out about it because I think it's pretty typical. I was in my 20s, I was working in broadcast news and broadcast sports, and I loved parts of it. The storytelling, the production, the adrenaline of live TV, but I also knew that I wanted to do my own thing. I wanted to build a videography business. Adventure stuff, creative projects, work that was mine. But I needed time and I needed money, and the broadcast schedule wasn't giving me either. And then somebody told me about this guy that they knew who spent his summers doing hailstorms and coming home with $75,000 in his checking account. And this was back in the late 90s, so that was actually real money. And then this guy would spend his winters in Nashville working on his songwriting career. And I remember thinking, wait, that's a real job? You can just do that? That conversation changed everything for me because suddenly I saw a path. Work hard for a few months, make serious money, then take the rest of the year and build the thing that I actually wanted to build. And this is the pattern I keep seeing over and over again. People don't find adjusting because it's trendy or because it showed up on some top 10 careers list. They find out about it because somebody that they trust said, hey, you might want to check this out because it gave me my life back. And this is why I built this channel and my training programs. I've spent 26 years figuring out actually what works in this industry, and I know how confusing it is when you're on the outside looking in. So let me break down what's actually pulling people into this industry. There are 3 things that keep coming up, and they're all connected. The first one is freedom. And I don't mean freedom in some vague, inspirational poster kind of way. I mean the ability to set your own schedule, to work where you want, to not have to ask permission to take a Tuesday off, to not be stuck in a cubicle or trapped in somebody else's system. When you're an independent adjuster, you're running your own operation. To a certain degree, you can pick your assignments, you definitely manage your own time, you decide when you're available and when you're not. And for people who spent years grinding in a corporate structure, that shift is kind of massive. The second driver is meaning. And this one surprises people, but it's one of the biggest reasons adjusters stay in the industry. You're helping people on one of the worst days of their lives. Their house just got hit by a tornado. Their roof just got destroyed by hail. They're standing in the wreckage trying to figure out what happens next. And you show up with the answers. You document the damage, you explain the process, and you help people navigate through this chaos. That sense of being useful, of solving real problems for real people, that keeps you going. It's not just paperwork. It's not just like a transaction. You're putting order back into someone else's life when everything feels broken for them. And the third driver, of course, is financial. Let me be clear here. I'm not going to hype this up like it's some kind of get-rich-quick thing because it's absolutely not. But the earning potential is real, and honestly, there's no real wage cap. Your income is tied to your output. You write more claims, you make more money. You get better at your systems, you make more money. You position yourself for the right storms, you make more money. And for people who are tired of waiting for annual raises or hoping that somebody notices their work, that direct connection between effort and income is massive. So here's the thing that ties all of this together. The reason this career spreads through word of mouth is because it genuinely transforms people's lives. And when something does that, you can't help but talk about it. That's why I started this channel. The adjusters who pull their friends and family into this industry aren't doing it because they get a referral bonus. They're doing it because they found something that gave them freedom, gave them meaningful work, and gave them an actual income path. And when you experience that shift, you want the people you care about to have access to it as well. But it's not all sunshine and happiness. Not everybody who gets into this industry succeeds here. Some people wash out in the first season. Some people realize it's not for them. Some people just can't handle the intensity and the pressure. So what separates the ones who thrive from the ones who quit? That question is something that you kind of have to answer for yourself. I can provide you all the information that I can here to give you an idea of what this career is all about, but then you have to decide if that's something that resonates with you and that you want to get into. But when this career clicks, it changes everything. You're not just making more money, you're not just getting more time off, you're stepping into a completely different version of your life. Again, you control your time, you set your own schedule, you decide when you're working and when you're not asking permission, you're not waiting for approval, you're running your own operation. You have a sense of professional identity that actually feels earned. You're not just a cog in somebody else's machine. You're solving real problems using your own real skills. People rely on you to show up and do the work right. And the money you're making feels different because it's directly tied to what you do. You wrote those claims. You worked that storm. You put in the hours. Nobody handed it to you, and that is the big difference. Now, I want you to contrast that with where you are right now. If you're watching this video, there's a good chance that you're in a job that doesn't give you any of those things. You don't control your time, you don't feel like the work matters, and the money that you're making is capped by somebody else's decision. The salary ladder feels like a moving target, but that's the gap, and adjusting is one of the ways to close it. So what does it actually take to make this work? First of all, you have to decide for yourself whether or not this is right for you or not. Secondly, once you decide that you're all in, you need licensing, you need to have training, and you need a proven workflow. You need realistic expectations about what this job is and what it isn't. And you need the right mindset because this career will push you and push you hard. It's not magic, and it's definitely not passive. You don't just show up and collect checks. You have to develop systems for yourself. You're managing logistics, you're working long days during storm season, you're dealing with homeowners, insurance companies, contractors, and there are a whole lot of moving parts to this thing. But for the right kind of person, the trade-offs are absolutely worth it because what you're getting in return is control over your life. And once you get that, it's very, very hard to go back. And the good news is that you don't have to figure all this out on your own. I've trained thousands of people through this exact process, and I can show you the path that actually works. Listen, I'm not gonna try to sell you any kind of a dream here. This career is very demanding. It's going to test you. There are days when you will be absolutely exhausted, when you're dealing with difficult situations, and when the work feels incredibly overwhelming. But here's the thing that I've seen over and over again. The people who make it work, the people who build a sustainable career in this industry, they are not superhuman. They're just people who were tired of the alternative. They were tired of being stuck. They were tired of waiting for permission. They were tired of working jobs that didn't give them a life. So they decided to do something different. And like I said, I've been doing this long enough to know who makes it and who doesn't. And my job isn't to convince you that this is right for you. My job is to give you the real picture so that you can make that call for yourself. If that's where you're at right now, then you're in the right place because this channel exists to help people like you figure out if this path makes sense, and if it does, to give you the tools to actually make it work. And if you want to learn how to become an independent property adjuster completely from scratch, the beginner guide to becoming an independent adjuster is right there. And as always, thank you so much for watching and have a great storm. You know, if you're an adjuster who makes your primary income every year from claims, you really need to ditch the generic Uber, Postmates, whatever, small business E&O insurance and protect yourself with the only company that exclusively serves the claims industry, and that is Xactimate. Get real errors and omissions and general liability coverages for adjusters right now at cplic.net/adjustertv. Also, did you know that the #1 resource for damage identification books, trainings, and certifications is Hague Education? Not only that, but they provide building inspection and desk adjuster trainings and certifications as well. Get these industry standard certs right now at hageeducation.com and use code AdjusterTV at checkout for a nice juicy discount. Okay.
This is Adjuster TV.